Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel, Gardening in Cold Spring Harbor. I hope all of you are staying safe and warm. Spring is coming. So in today's video, I'm going to share with you all the must-do tasks so we can prepare for our best gardening season ever. Also in today's video, I'm going to share with you all the tasks which can wait. In fact, the tasks which we should not do yet and wait until our last anticipated frost date. I live and garden in Long Island, New York, Zone 7A. And it is my goal to have you, my fellow home gardeners, be successful so you can have the best home gardens of your dreams. Even for those of you, my fellow home gardeners, who live and garden in tough conditions. So for those of you looking for the online gardening channel, which offers tips, tricks, easy yet proven gardening advice to take your home gardens to that next level. Don't go anywhere, guys. Stick around with me today. Start with going below this video and clicking the subscribe button. If you are enjoying the content of my gardening videos, if you find my videos to be useful, helpful, informative in absolutely any way, don't forget to click the bell icon as well. You will get notifications from YouTube every single time I'll upload a new garden video. Now come with me, let's get gardening. Let's start with pruning. Pruning is essential when it comes to this year's harvest and this year's bloom. When pruning, we must always focus on the 4 Ds. What are those 4 Ds? The dead, the dying, the dysfunctional, or the diseased. Any of those 4, we must always prune away. Right now is the perfect time to give our existing roses, our rose trees, our shrubs, our climbing roses, a hard prune. If you haven't already done so, late fall, early winter. Don't be afraid to give your existing roses a hard prune. In fact, they need it. And they will surprise you with beautiful, lush, abundant growth as well as beautiful fragrant blooms. So when pruning roses, existing rose shrubs, what must we focus on? When pruning, hard pruning our rose shrubs, you can see mine over here is pruned. We must always cut away or prune away any dead branches, dying branches, intercrossing branches, intersecting branches, or those branches that serve no function nor purpose. Don't ever be afraid to give your roses that hardcore pruning. Before you know it, they're going to come back, wake up from their dormancy phase, and surprise you with new green lush growth. Take a look at my rose shrubs over here that I pruned late fall season. Look at all the beautiful growth, all these new buds that have formed and starting to grow. Take a look at this rose shrub right over here. You could see how short I pruned this rose shrub, and I wasn't afraid to do so. I knew that the results will be more rewarding than ever. Take a look at all the beautiful growth, all these new buds. And just because your rose shrub might not have even fully green colored stems, at this point in time, it is absolutely fine. Right now, our rose shrubs are still sleeping. They are still what we like to call dormant. They are, though, getting ready to wake up from their dormancy period. You could see that they're starting to change the coloring from dark brown or deep burgundy color to green. And seeing these buds is always a great sign. These buds are an indication that your rose plant is alive. For those of you who are interested in seeing how I prune my rose trees, my rose shrubs, how I hardcore prune them to get them ready for the new growing season, that video is still available on my gardening channel, Gardening Cold Spring Harbor, and I highly recommend that you check out that video as well. Now with the spring season right around the corner, all of our rose shrubs, rose trees, climbing roses will be coming out of their dormancy phase. So for those of you who are wondering how you can tell if your rose plant is dead, dying, or still dormant, I have a video on my gardening channel, Gardening Cold Spring Harbor, where I give you easy, clear, step-by-step instructions on how you can easily figure out what is happening with your rose plant. And talking about roses, right now would be the perfect time to plant new rose shrubs in your home garden. Whether you're planning to start growing roses this coming season, or maybe you're deciding to add some new rose varieties to your existing home garden, right now is the perfect time to sit down to think about what rose varieties you would like to go in your home garden. And once you make that decision, go on right ahead and plant those beautiful roses in your home garden, just in time for those spring fragrant blooms. The next very important task we home gardeners must do now before spring season arrives is to prune down our deciduous fruit trees, such as this pear tree right over here. So what are deciduous fruit trees? They're those trees which drop all of their leaves certain part of the year, sometime around fall season. The tree remains bare without absolutely any foliage until next spring season. So that is a definition of a deciduous fruit tree. We must prune it down now before warm weather temperatures come and before the trees start to grow foliage. We must prune our deciduous fruit trees while they have absolutely no leaves on them and while they're still dormant, just as we would do with our roses. Very important to prune roses, shrubs, as well as deciduous fruit trees only when they're dormant and have no foliage on them. So now, how much should you prune your deciduous fruit trees? No more than 25% of the tree at one time. You do not want to cause it tremendous shock. What should we prune off of our fruit trees? Remember the 4 Ds: the dead, the damaged, the diseased or dysfunctional branches. Any branch that appears sick, diseased, dead, dying, or serves absolutely no purpose, say it's sticking out somewhere like this one right over here. Why would you need this branch? You don't. Again, no more than 25% of the entire tree. Always leave the first year's growth. So those newer branches, which are starting to show buds, the new 1 year growth, we leave intact, untouched, especially if you see that growth with the bud pointing upward. That is a very good indication. If you see this new baby growth, if I may call it that, compared to the rest of the older branches, leave that 1 year wood alone. The rest, prune off 25% of your tree. Don't be afraid. It might seem harsh, but come warmer temperature, you are going to see new, abundant, beautiful growth and blooms on your fruit trees. I promise you. In fact, I guarantee it. Right now is the perfect time to prune down our garlic chives, which I'm growing right over here. You could see that we had a few cold frost days over here, and my garlic chives have took quite a hit. You could see that there is some new growth emerging already. But right now, before the warmer air temperatures come, is the perfect time to prune down our garlic chives all the way to the soil level, like so. Don't be afraid to give them this hard prune. And you know what? They will come back with the warmer weather and start growing like never before. Also, I like to amend the soil with either warm castings or compost after I prune down my garlic chives. With that cold weather below 25 degrees Fahrenheit, which hit us here in Long Island, New York, Zone 7A the last few weeks, some of my plants took a hard hit. If you see that your plant is dead, completely dead, and how do you test that? All you have to do is try to break off the branches if they're soft and hollow. Unfortunately, that specific crop or plant didn't make it. So right now would be the perfect time to get rid of the dead plants. But instead of pulling the entire plant out of the soil and disturbing the soil, the best thing to do is use pruning shears or cutting shears and cut this plant down all the way down to the soil level. Allow the roots to naturally decompose in the soil, giving your soil that needed organic material. Now, let's say that some plants are not dead. Yes, they got severely impacted by the cold air temperatures, freezing air temperatures. Let me give you an example. I have my sage growing right over here. You could see that some of the leaves are absolutely fine, green and intact, yet some of the plant did take the damage, the hit from the freezing temps. This is an example of what not yet to do. If you do see that some of your plants suffered from the freezing temperatures, however, the plant is not entirely dead, leave that plant alone until after your last anticipated frost date. Even though there are burnt, damaged, dead foliage, some damaged dead foliage, as you could see right over here, this dead or damaged foliage still serves as that protection layer for your plant. And say you're going to get another round of freezing temperatures, this foliage will help protect your plant. So I'm going to leave this plant alone, and after my last anticipated frost date, only then I'm going to go in with my scissors or my pruning shears and cut off only the dead, dying, or damaged foliage. So leave those plants alone, no reason to rush. As upsetting as it might be to see some of our plants or crops die from the hard, freezing air temperatures, it is also quite an experience. This has allowed me to walk through my home garden to get a closer look at all of my plants that I'm growing in my home garden and to see which plants are actually absolutely fine, withstood the cold temperatures, and which plants unfortunately were not happy and died back. Why is it a learning experience? Because it allows you to pay close attention to the microclimates in your home garden. The next must-do garden tasks before the warm spring temperatures come is to harvest our cool weather loving crops, such as our kale, such as our cauliflower, cabbage, broccoli, and Brussels sprouts. So broccoli is an example of a cool weather loving crop, which even after you harvest the main broccoli head, will start producing side shoots. so you can leave that plant in the ground for another few weeks. Versus cabbage and or cauliflower, that is harvest once and never again crops. So those crops, after you harvest, you should cut them off at the main stem all the way to the soil level. Never pull those plants, otherwise you will disturb your soil. Allow the roots to naturally decompose, giving that home garden that needed natural organic matter. Right now is the perfect time to start harvesting our cool weather loving crops, the crops that have been growing in our home garden for a month, especially the cabbage, the broccoli, the cauliflower, and the Brussels sprouts. Right now is the perfect time. Why? Because once the temperatures start to warm up, start to go up, our cool weather loving crops will both flower and go to seed on us. So if you're seeing that your crop is still growing, it's doing fine, such as this cabbage right over here, you could see that there's no damage, no impact, and it's still forming the size of its head, I'm going to leave this one alone. Any crop that took a hit, such as this cabbage, it is done. It got frostbitten. This cabbage, you could see, got totally destroyed by the frost. So how do we get rid of them? Again, you never pull the entire root system out. You will disturb the soil below. And you have other near growing crops here. So what should you do? You should take your pruning shears and cut the stem right at the soil surface like so. You discard off the stem that you just cut off and you let Mother Nature do her job. You could see I left the roots intact. So what's going to happen now? They're going to naturally disintegrate into the soil, giving the soil of your home garden that needed organic matter. Talking about soil and organic matter, right now, before the warm weather comes, before spring arrives, is the time to test our soil. So we never ever have to guess, is our soil good? Is our soil healthy? Does it have enough organic matter? Does it have enough vitamins, nutrients? Is it acidic? Is it basic? Is it neutral? Why ever guess when you can purchase a basic, simple soil testing kit online? And I recommend testing your raised bed garden soil, your container soil, as well as your in-ground soil. So how do you test? The kits usually come with a probe. You will need to place that probe at least 6 inches into the soil, and you must collect soil from 5 to 7 various locations. So if you have a raised garden bed, you will have to collect soil from various locations within those beds. Because if you only collect from one location, that test will not be accurate. So why do this now? Because soon enough, you're going to be sowing, you're going to be transplanting. And now is the time to know what is happening with that soil in your home gardens, so your plants can grow and thrive this coming gardening season. Asparagus ferns have been growing like crazy. They've been sending all the energy back to the roots. But right now, before the spring warm weather arrives, is the perfect time to prune them down, to trim off all of these spent ferns. So how do you do that? You take your clean pruning shears and you cut the spent ferns all the way down to the soil level. And of course, we discard of the spent, dried, dead fern, like so. Very easy. Takes a few minutes to do this. Now, once you cut them off, what would you do next? You would add either worm castings or compost to the surface of your soil. Come warm spring weather, I promise you, you're going to see those beautiful asparagus spears come right up from the ground and start growing for you once again. Another gardening task you must do now before the start of the warm spring season is start gathering the dry, spent leaves that have accumulated in your home garden from last fall and winter seasons. Start adding these leaves, these dry leaves, to a compost bin. By the time the warm weather arrives, your leaves will be ready to be added to your home garden. So get that rake, my fellow home gardeners, and start raking up all of these dry yet very useful and free leaves to make your own at-home compost. For those of you living in warmer climates, right now is the perfect time to start harvesting your citrus. Whether you're growing lemons, limes, a grapefruit, kumquat, blood oranges, you name it. Right now, when spring is just around the corner, is the perfect time to harvest your citrus. Just always keep in mind, my fellow home gardeners, that your citrus fruit can last on the mother tree for quite a few months. So there's absolutely no reason to harvest all your citrus at one time. Only pick or harvest what you're ready to consume and eat at that point in time. Leave the rest on the mother tree. Also, keep in mind, while enjoying your delicious, juicy citrus harvest, it's going to be time to fertilize your citrus trees or plants very, very soon. So don't forget about it. If you are planning on growing sweet potatoes this coming growing season, and you still have a few more weeks before the appropriate air temperatures, you can always take a sweet potato and place it in a cup full of tap water and allow it to sit there for those few extra weeks, and you'll see your sweet potato start to sprout. If you are approaching that correct planting time, say you're only a few short days away from those warmer, correct air temperatures, then I like to plant my sweet potatoes directly in the soil outside in my home garden. In fact, I plant and grow all of my potatoes in 10-gallon plastic containers. And I like to plant them directly into the soil. Why? Because you will get slips, potato slips, much quicker if you plant them directly into the soil. For those of you who are interested in seeing how I plant and grow my potatoes in those 10-gallon plastic containers, I still have that video available on my gardening channel, Gardening in Cold Spring Harbor. So I recommend that you check out that video as well. But for those of you who still have a few weeks before those warm temperatures arrive, definitely try placing your sweet potato into a cup of water. And within a few days, you're going to see your sweet potato sprout. And just when those warm temperatures will arrive, your sweet potato will be ready for transplant. If you are planning on planting and growing your own ginger or turmeric, or maybe you're planning on growing both this coming gardening season, right now is the perfect time to start your ginger or your turmeric inside, indoors, in pots and containers. I grow my own ginger as well as my own turmeric from store-bought rhizomes. And I have that video available on my gardening channel, Gardening in Cold Spring Harbor, as well, where I give you easy, step-by-step instructions on how you can plant and successfully grow your own ginger and your own turmeric in a container from a store-bought rhizome. Here is my container in which I planted store-bought ginger rhizomes just a few months ago. And take a look at this, my fellow home gardeners. My ginger has sprouted and is growing beautifully. Look at all this beautiful, lush green growth. And I will be ready to harvest my homegrown ginger in a few more short months. So if you are interested in seeing how I grow my ginger at home in a basic, simple container, the video is still available on my gardening channel, Gardening in Cold Spring Harbor. And you should definitely check it out because it is so rewarding and pleasing to be able to grow your own turmeric and your own ginger right at home. And don't forget, right now is the perfect time to start growing them inside, indoors, in a pot or a container. And once the temperatures warm up, you'll be ready to move your container outside. So get that ginger and turmeric planted right now. With all the seed catalogs actively arriving in our mailboxes, plus all the sales and deals we are seeing online as well as in our local garden centers, can be very tempting not to run out and start purchasing multiple seed packets. So many great new seed varieties available this year. However, before we jump into our car and drive over to our local garden center, before we even hop onto our computer and start ordering seeds online, take your time to think, plan, and organize what you already have at home. I like to always go through my existing seed packets to see what I have, how many of those seeds I already have, what I no longer have, and what I am planning on growing this year. Once you take the time to sit down, look through existing seed packets, maybe even look through some of these catalogs, look on the website, check out your local garden centers. And once you have everything written down, planned and figured out, and say you are missing certain seed varieties, say you want to grow some new crop varieties this year, then right now would be the perfect time to order those new exciting seeds. But don't rush, as you still have plenty of time. No need to waste the money that we can always save and use for something else. What is that next must-do gardening task now in the month of February, right before the spring season comes, is to plant our trees from bare root. Right now, late winter is the perfect chance to plant your bare root trees. Here I have my Chicago hardy fig tree, which I planted last year from my bare roots, and you could see that it's still here, it's alive, it is dormant, and there was plenty of foliage on it all summer season or fall season. Don't be afraid to plant it now. The roots will be absolutely fine. In fact, by planting the bare root tree now, you're giving your trees that extra time to get their roots established. Also, if you purchase a rather tall bare root, I recommend that you give it a nice hard trim. What do I mean by hard trim? I recommend that you take your pruning shears and you cut that branch or that stem where it's going to be no more than 18 to 24 inches in height. Once the warmer weather comes, you're going to see lots of new green lush growth. The time it'll take you now to prepare for those spring and summer season will reward you with the best home garden of your life. Take that time now to complete all of the tasks which we just spoke about, and you're not going to regret it. In fact, your garden will be blooming, growing, and thriving come the spring and summer season. This is it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for joining here in my home garden in Long Island, New York, Zone 7A. In today's video, we spoke about all the must-do gardening tasks, which all of us home gardeners should do now, late winter before spring and warm temperatures arrive. We also spoke about all the tasks which we should not do now. In fact, all the tasks that can wait and should wait until after the last anticipated frost date. For those of you who enjoyed the content of today's video, if you found today's video to be useful, helpful, informative, in absolutely any way, show me that support by clicking thumbs up. Leave your comments in the comment section as well. Let me know, have you done any of these tasks from today's checklist? If so, which task have you already completed? Which tasks are you planning to do within the next few weeks? For those of you who haven't yet subscribed to my gardening channel, Gardening Cold Spring Harbor, what are you waiting for, guys? Super easy for you to do, super pleasing and rewarding to me, knowing that you guys enjoy watching my videos, that you find my videos to be useful, helpful, and informative. Click the bell icon as well if you want YouTube to send you notifications every single time I'll upload a new garden video. Stay healthy, happy, stay warm and well, each and every single one of you. And happy gardening, my fellow home gardeners, and I'll see you again in my new upcoming garden videos. Bye, guys.